In the tapestry of life, where every thread holds a story, America in black and white emerges as a haven for the voices echoing through the heart of our communities. In this podcast, we wade through the rivers of our collective experiences, celebrating the vibrant hues of change brought forth by the whispers of hope and the roars of action. It's more than just a conversation. It's a journey into the heart of our society, illuminated by the light of those daring to dream and do. Join us, and let your voice be the melody that guides us toward a dawn where every color finds its place in the masterpiece of our shared destiny. Together, let's paint a future brimming with the positives that dwell in our minds and the actions that shape our world.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of America in Black and White. Tonight, we have a special guest. Our guest is Ms. Dawn Adams, and she is, in every sense of the word, a force. Dawn is the founder and CEO of OHM Publishing Company. This is an independent publishing house. She established in 1998. Nearly 30 years of building, nearly 30 years of believing, nearly 30 years of lifting voices that deserve to be heard. She is a certified life and business coach. She is a two-time International Impact Book Award winning author, a distinction earned not once but twice in 2025 alone. And of all of that were not enough, she is the host of the Cafe Talk podcast, where she brings the same warmth, honesty, and faith-rooted conviction that defines everything she does. Let's bring our guest to the stage. That is going to be, here we go. Hi, Dawn, how are you? We can't hear you. Mm-mm. Can you see if you can go out and come back in again? I'd like to say thank you to each and every individual that's on with us. I apologize for the technical difficulties. We will get this straightened out as we're going to have Dawn to actually come back in to the show. I'd like to thank each and every individual that's actually here right now, that's actually watching this show.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Okay. I tell you, this technology, we can't live with. I don't know. I'm going to try and live without it soon. It's a lot. I apologize. You check everything, you just can't get it right sometimes.
Well, I'd like to welcome you to the show. Is there anything you'd like to say to the audience before we actually get into the show?
Just say hi. How's everybody doing out there? Is everybody doing okay? Are you safe? Do you have food to eat? You know, we have to really care about each other these days. And I do my part. You know, I learned from a friend one time. he just used to say, "So how are you today?" He says, "I think that we should at least ask and then pause and let the people answer," right? So I trust everyone's doing well today.
Yes, and actually, you've already got some support here in the chat.
Yes.
Here's a young lady here. I'll just put this on the screen for you before we get going. Says she's very excited to hear from you. That's on the screen. Can you see it?
I can see her. Hi.
And this one says that he or she, Striker Pulse, they just arrived.
Oh, nice. Hi.
And okay, I guess this is when about the technical difficulties.
I can tell you that one's my daughter.
Okay. And so, so let's get into the show. So, Don, I know when we talked, what we do, what I want to do first, which is what I do with all my shows, is I like to give people the opportunity to learn a little bit about you as we get into the great work that you do. So let's start with, I think you told me you was raised in Massachusetts. Is that correct?
Yes, I was actually born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but when they whisked you away at 16 months, I'm not sure that counts.
So can you tell us, what was it like growing up in Massachusetts, and how did your early environment shape who you are today?
I loved it. 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 School was amazing. I'm still in touch with friends from kindergarten, right? That's a long time ago. Obviously, the best cuisine you could ever have. It's a very cultured city. You know, the museums and of course the Boston Symphony Orchestra. But we always had a lot of actors and performers, like all the time. It was just that type of city because of the Berklee Music School. So, we were there for the first song from, Luther Vandross, and on the downtown, my favorite spot was called Concert on the Commons. And in the summer, they would build up 20-foot high fence, and you had to pay to get in. But if you brought your wine and your basket and your friend and sat on the grass, you could hear Diana Ross, you could hear, anybody that they brought to the city. Just very beautiful, romantic place, surrounded by some of the best education, MIT, Harvard. You couldn't lose. I had a wonderful experience growing up in Boston.
So growing up, was there a particular moment or experience that first made you realize writing would be your life's calling?
Okay, so I would say at the age of 15, my boyfriend at the time had gone away to college, far, far away, and we didn't have cell phones and FaceTime and all that. So I would write letters just to keep him encouraged. And they were 15 pages.
Wow.
Yes. And so it wasn't, and then I had other friends if they had gone to the service. I always wanted to write something. I always wanted to stay connected and let them know we love you, we care about you. Come on back home in one piece. And it wasn't until years later, CZ, that people began to say, they called it the manifesto. Thank you very much. But they said that your words, I just wanted to hear you talk. And that's when it resonated that this isn't for me, right? This feedback, this is for people. So I need to continue to motivate that.
So, so what does the name Dawn mean to you personally? Does it carry any spiritual or symbolic significance for who you've become?
Okay, so that's so funny. You're funny. So dawn, obviously we know, means the beginning of a new day. Well, I put a new twist on it. To me, dawn means it's always something. Always starting something new, known as a master innovator. Our generation, we were superheroes. We were there when there were no emails, and then we're here now with the cloud. And so very, very exciting time in my 20s and 30s, Lotus 1, 2, 3. And I don't know if it was Boston. I don't know if it was the dawning of new technology, but that spirit fell on me. And it's like, even now, I'll be 95 years old and I'm going to always be doing something new. So that's what my name means to me, new beginnings.
Oh, you wear many hats. You're an author, you're a publisher, you're a coach, you're a podcast host. Were you always entrepreneurial, or did that spirit just develop over time?
No, sirree. I think I was probably trying to sell Pampers at the hospital when I was born. No, I just didn't know. My former pastor, he's retired, Bishop T.D. Jakes, he said something one day, you're going to look around one day and realize you were you. He says, I didn't know I was me. I said, I'm sure at 25, he didn't know he was T.D. Jakes. You realize later in life, right? It just kind of dawns on you. So I've done plays, playwright. I modeled body, I modeled hair. And so I was always doing a production. I couldn't just go sit down, you know what I mean? And just go enjoy the one little thing. It had to become, no, we're going to have a fashion show and we're going to use Michael's Thriller and the men are going to wear tuxedos and we're going to couldn't use a fog machine, had to go to the dark and get dry ice for the thing. And it just kind of was inside me, right? And so I think it's always, and then I sewed, I was a seamstress and I cooked. So anything that I've ever done, I had a flower shop at one time. It just doesn't stop. So I'm going to say, I think I was born with this one.
You received an Outstanding Contributors Award from the Providence Civic Center for your production of the Higher Praise Convention. Can you tell us about that chapter of your life?
I sure can. So if there's anyone out there listening that is from Delaware, Wilmington, Delaware, or back home in Connecticut that remembers a convention that we used to go to every year at Bishop Weeks, Wesley Weeks, it was called Praise Power. And as it began to change and kind of slow down, I said, you know what? We don't have to stop here. He taught us for years what to do. We know how to do this. Get some good speakers, get a good venue, and just make it professional. And so that's what I did. Our church at that time, my husband at that time, we were pastoring a church. We were small, but we did giant things, CZ. So I went downtown, not to the hotel. I went to the PPAC Center in the center of the city, and I got a contract, and they let us come in for 3 years. And that day says, wow, you guys really put on a production. This was not a convention. This was a production in our city. And thank you for coming and thinking of us. So I ended up getting an award for that.
You left New England and built a new life in Atlanta, Georgia. What prompted that move, and how has the South shaped your perspective?
Okay, so there was a couple stops in between. I kind of stopped through Maryland. I said, no, I don't want to be here, and in Pennsylvania. But I'm going to say, I would say family, right? I would say that my daughter has an illustrious life of her own. And when your children are as talented as you are or greater, which we want greater, you got to kind of step back. You know, this isn't a double platinum where I'm standing in the middle of the stage getting all the attention. I said I could have really snatched Diana Ross. It was that girl's moment. But, you know, I purposely stepped back and let her shine and let her grow and let her see. She didn't have to look to mom. And she's so smart. So things just kind of plateaued for us both. And one thing led to the next. And I was in Pennsylvania, and I wasn't feeling right. I felt so alone. I felt so detached. I couldn't find a church all my life. It just wasn't working. And then someone made a suggestion one day that said, well, Christina's, why don't you go to Atlanta? And because I'm a Northerner girl and I'm kind of spoke forth, right? I didn't know if this would be the place for me, right? I didn't know if I would come down here and act right. and be nice. And I still think there's a timing factor with that. But yeah, it was that. I came and I love it, CZ. I love Georgia. You can bury my bones here. I love Atlanta and everything that it brings.
What is the one thing in Atlanta that stood out most to you that you like most?
Okay, this is going to sound silly, but it's the Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Really?
I came down here, much like the illustrious Tabitha Brown, and I came down here and I drove rideshare for Uber and Lyft because I wanted to learn the algorithm. I started my own transportation company, Sugar Enterprises LLC, and I picked up my own clients. I was driving down the street one day, there was something here, and I took them. And when I tell you that is a monstrosity of a building, I came around a corner, very unassuming, and bam, it's just like I said, oh my God, it scared me a little bit. It's structure. I'm going to say that the buildings, and I love how they're so creative with their venues. I've eaten at restaurants that I swear are lodged in a tree. So, when people say Atlanta's not a real place, it's a real place, but it's real creative. Yeah.
So you graduated cum laude with your MBA from Walden University. How did education serve as a foundation for your entrepreneurial journey?
Well, okay, so earlier you and I, we talked about the other two, and some people get tired of hearing all the things I do. The associates in social work, I knew that wasn't for me, but I knew, something has changed, CZ, in my generation, right? And they used to hire people, and you worked for a bean counter and you were just a bean. That was it. They didn't care about your family issues. Your dog died, you got beat up all night. They don't care anything about that. There was one room with the word payroll on it, and you were a number, and that was it. Well, as I got older and I began to listen to some of the anguish, the mental anguish that was going on, I wasn't used to hearing this on the job. I said, well, we've got to do something different. When you hire someone, you hire the whole person. You hire what they went through last night. You hire what they're going to go through tomorrow. You hire their kids, their husband. And it just touched my heart. And the Lord dealt with me and said, get your master's degree later, but I want you to learn human development. I want you to know different people and culture so that you can work in all types of rooms. Then after I got that, I said, well, I like to be in business. I've done it on my own. I didn't get a bachelor's in business, but I said, I kind of figured it out on my own. So now it's time to master it. And if I were to tell young people anything, do not go from a bachelor's degree right into a master's degree program. It's to master. You don't even know if you're going to like it. Just get your job, get in there, your accounting job, whatever you're going to do, get in there, love it. Then when you love it, you will develop a personal integrity for your clients, for your customers, for the world, to be an expert at what you do. So I consider myself to be an expert at everything that I do because that's the time and effort that I put in. So.
What has been the single most defining moment in your personal life that influenced everything else you've done professionally?
Okay, it's all going to pull together. I would have to say when I worked as a young girl at 18, I started working in Boston, Massachusetts. And it's just nothing like it. A young African-American girl that had the best of all worlds, working with millionaires and billionaires that just loved me and encouraged me. And I'll never forget. So, not having a father at home and that old story that I don't get into, but it's the truth. Anyhow, young people need someone. A girl needs her father. She needs a father. And I just can remember David Enton and his boss. And on every job I ever had, they always saw something in me and pulled me to the side and said, you need to go to school. You need to do this. You need to do that. So it's just that Bostonian way. Like, we just like to stay on point and on top, professional wise. But also, I think that parenting is a profession. And when I had my daughter, it all stopped. It can't. All of the foolishness came to a screeching halt because she kept looking at me. See, I'm like, where does she keep? She kept, from the womb, they walked her across the room, and I'm like, what is she looking at? The eyes I came out with her eyes open. I said, oh no, this one right here. Let me get my life right. Stop the foolishness. Because she's learning already to watch her mom. And not too long after that, I gave my life to Christ. So thank God for the timing. I said she didn't have to know the foolishness, but I would say that she would say everything that she is, everything that she has learned, and everything that she knows. She says, "I only remember you in a suit and a briefcase, Mom. Everything that I am in business is because of you." So I tied those two things together because I think that they're both equally important, and they do cross reference.
If you could go back and speak to your younger self in Boston, what would you tell her?
Tell him yes.
Okay. Okay. So I'm assuming that this is for the boyfriend that went far away.
Tell him yes. Mhm. And this is actually the first time that I've ever come out and said that. And it's for so many reasons. When God has a purpose in your life and you misalign with it, you misalign with it. And sometimes it was a blessing. You get afraid, you don't know what to do. And we're good friends now. We don't see each other. But I always remember asking myself why I didn't say yes. And it just comes down to fear. So young people, don't ignore. Go get some older people and sit down and talk with them and make the right decisions. And I would say that would be the biggest one for me. That was my best friend.
Let's talk a little bit about OHM Publishing and your entrepreneurship. OHM Publishing, Open Heart Ministry, has been your enterprise since 1998. Take us back to the beginning. What inspired you to start your own publishing company 30 years ago?
Well, once again, same period of time. I had just given my life to Christ and my heart had changed. You know, the Bible says that God will take your stony heart and make it a heart of flesh. And I experienced that right away, my whole persona. You know, I was calling people from before. I'm so sorry I said this to you. I'm so sorry. It was a mess. I really got saved. And I thought, you know what? In this whole world, the most important thing is honesty and transparency. So that's where Open Heart Ministry came from. I remember I was at a new job and I just started writing. They hadn't given me any work to do. And I just started typing and I did a complete article entitled "Honesty is the Best Policy." And it just kind of took off from there. It went from one sheet of paper to my first book that I'm not ashamed of, entitled The Promiscuous Life. And it just kept on going. I would read the room. There's no particular genre. I read the room. I feel that I am equipped enough to give an answer, right? I can't fix it, but people deserve a practical answer, and I can give that.
You know, and I got to say, I love what OPM stands for. Can you tell us, what does Open Heart Ministry mean to you philosophically, and how does that name guide the editorial direction of OHM Publishing?
So if you notice, I don't spell it out. I purposely leave it hidden because I want to leave my heart open to everyone. I don't want people to, now don't take this the wrong way, everybody that's listening. I am the Christian, but everything that I do doesn't have to have Christianity all around it. We have to be wise and understand that everybody doesn't have the faith and that revelation that we have yet. And you can run people off, making them feel excluded by the way you talk, by the way you act, by the way you don't receive them. And so for me, I just feel like I want to keep my heart open for all people. And that has led me to a place now where God has taken me global. He told me 2 years ago, I'm going to take you international. And now he's showing me worldwide. And that's because he said he died for the whole world, right? Not just one state, not just one group of people. He did for everyone. And so with that open heart that he has, I kind of adopted that.
Wow. Well, I got to tell you, I love that name. I love that name. I do.
I thought it was so weird, CZ, when I said, Dawn, now what are you doing?
But, you know, because, you know, as I think about it, you know, and especially with you having those initials, OHM is what made people come to find out, well, what is that?
Really?
You know, but when you thought about that, I mean, like, Did this like just come to you, or was this something
It
that you
just,
really sat down and thought about?
it came out, and like I said, it started from the article, honesty is the best policy. And in the same breath, I said, okay, so honesty, that comes from a pure heart. So we need to keep our heart pure, and we need to stay open so that everything that we feed people, that we give people, is honest. People have enough dishonesty to deal with. Somebody's got to be right. So it doesn't hurt me to be transparent. The Bible says that we are living epistles, which are letters read of men. But if I hide my wound, if I hide my black eye, if I hide my story, if I hide my love, I can't reach anybody. I can't tell 21-year-old whoever, sweetheart, that, I think you need to just say yes, okay, and take it to you. Took a chance on that other thing. And so you see how it goes. And transparency is it for me. I want people to be free. I want people to be happy, because you know what? I am. And it didn't come overnight, but I got there. And when I got to great peace and happiness, I said, there's nothing else but to just build upon this. And so you go from being a dependent to independent to intradependent. And this is where I am now, telling other people, listen, I'm 62 years old. I can say what I need to now.
Yeah, okay.
I have lived the life.
Yeah. So, here's a I think you said this is your daughter. She was saying that that's beautiful.
Yeah, she's that's my little sidekick, road dog. She's a good girl.
So independent publishing was incredibly difficult in '98, long before social media, print on demand, or digital platforms. How did you survive and thrive in those early years?
Okay, let's start with one of my books that I wrote years ago. I have 8 books that are retired because I don't keep things around that are not relevant. One book was With These Hands, right? And I was studying the Bible, avid, front to back. I started from Revelations and went backwards. And that was unique because I wanted to focus on what was relevant. But I actually did it myself. I do everything myself. I am the do-it-yourself queen. I'm going to fix it. My running joke is Rome wasn't built in a day because they didn't ask me. I am going to figure it out. And anyone that knows this, she's not lying about that. So, it's easy. My first book on a brother's typewriter. I typed so fast, I had to sit back and let the keys catch up. But I was determined to finish that book. I had to learn. We have all this fancy stuff now in Word. We didn't have. I had to flip those pages. I had to figure out, I had to manually center the page numbers. And this was my favorite part. I figured out if I wanted 100 books, I had to create 50 sets on 2 sets on 1 page. I would go to Staples. They would copy 50, cut them in half. That's 100 books now. But I didn't want anything I say I'm going to do is going to be an excellence. I didn't want it stitched. I didn't want it hole punched. I didn't want any of that. So I said, I want my book to be perfect bound. I found a company called 48 Hours Print, and they said, if you ship us your book cover and your content, we will perfect bind it for you and send it back. Well, that wasn't good enough. I didn't want my cover to be dry cardstock. I researched Epson. At that time, they had a piece of paper that was cardstock on one side and glossy on the other. I said, bingo, that's the one. I still to this day do all my own books. I do my book covers. I do everything myself. I don't pay a dime to create this book. I just pay to order the author copy. And once I did that, they would copy 100 covers, because we got 100 books now. Boom, 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 in a box, off. They came back to me perfect bound, and I sold out every time. And just in this moment, to give a special shout out to Beulah Heights First Pentecostal Church. My pastor at the time was Theodore L. Brooks Sr. He was the one that told me I was an artist. I was walking out the sanctuary one day, and he called my name over the sanctuary and said, hey, Dawn, how much is it costing you to get these 100 books? Oh, about $110. He said, Natalie, she was the secretary at that time, write Sister Dawn a check for $110. He told the congregation at that time that this sister here is an artist by rights and support her. And no matter where I went with my books from that day forward, if I set the table up and I wrote the book, they knew they were going to get OHM, they knew they were going to get transparency, and they knew that they were going to get a rational answer for the issue for the day. And I would sell out. So it was a lot of manual work, Cece. It was a lot, but it was always worth it.
So with with your first time authors at OHM, what does it mean to you to open doors for emerging voices?
Oh my God. It makes me feel like grandma. These are babies. These are our babies. So this is my baby. This baby is going to create other babies, which makes me the grandmother. I recently went to a book signing and I met a woman, I'm not mentioning any names, but she was an older lady that had a wonderful book in her. And the Lord touched my heart and said, help her. And right now she has her book, first time in her life, on Barnes & Noble. And it felt just like being a grandmother to pass the baby. So when your children have their baby, they give it to you because you're proud, but you've got to give it back to them, right? So to be able to tell people this, everyone has a story to tell. Everyone has a story that deserves to be told and to be heard. And when you believe that, you'll just start writing. And where I am now, I'm teaching new authors how to also be self-publishers. Stop making excuses. Stop worrying about New York. Stop worrying about New York and just get started. Start your own publishing company. Get out here. I am on Barnes & Noble. They have a system that is absolutely free for authors. All you have to do is just upload and print. They will send you one author copy. And authors, we don't pay the full price. So this only cost me about $13.65. This is a hardcover with colored pictures in it. That's an expensive book. You couldn't go to another publisher and do that. And I'm not going to, because you know why? At the end of the day, I'm going to do it myself.
Wow. As a CEO, what are the biggest misconceptions aspiring authors have about their self-publishing industry, about the self-publishing industry?
That they can't do it. That they can't, I don't know what else to say, that they can't do it. Can't's not in my vocabulary. I hear it come up first. They don't think they're worth it. They don't think their story's worth it. And so I got to start here. I can't even go here. I have to start here with some of them and get them to understand you are worth it, your story's worth it, and you can do it. And if you sit with me an hour a month, I can show you how. Doesn't take anything away from me.
I think that process is what I think a lot of people think are like really is so detailed that they probably won't get the concept, is what I'm thinking. Because I think to be an independent artist, I think is the way to go. And I'm sure that that's probably what you tell your clients. But when they actually come to you and they want to learn the process, how do you really get them mentally focused and ready for that process?
I don't. I push them in the pool, CZ. I don't. I don't have time for that. I say, pull out your laptop, open it up, log into your Gmail account, create an email that has your name, .author in it, and let's get moving. That's it. I push them in the pool. I don't give them a chance. I say, just start writing. Just start writing. It doesn't matter. The titles will come later. Just start. I can help you with the titles. But honestly, a lot of them, once I push them in the pool, they swim, because no one's trying to die. And no one's trying to deal with me telling them every day that you can do it and you're going to do it because you need to do it. Because this is not about us. This is about somebody else back there that's coming along. We have to be stronger. right? And we have to put our emotions to the side and get the work done because we have a legacy to leave. I'm not going to be here forever. I'm going to be here for a while, they say, but I'm not going to be here forever. But when I leave, my books are going to be in floorboards, in the walls. They're going to be hidden in different places, and so are my customers and my clients. And I think that if you can deal with me for the first week, you're going to have a beautiful book. But I'm relentless. I don't give up on people because God doesn't give up on me.
So how do you balance your roles as the CEO of a publishing company while simultaneously being the author, the coach, and the podcast host at the same time?
I have lost my mind.
That's a lot.
See these eyes? I am absolutely out of my mind. Doing this has been bananas. And God tickles me because he trusts me with so much because he knows I my tenacity to get things done. The author part, I got that. I can write a book in my sleep. I can knock one out in a couple of months. That's fine. All of the design, that's fine. I got all the tools. Everything is in place. You have to get stuff positioned. I'm a very organized person. The publishing part came in because I just wasn't going to have anyone telling me, oh, you can't say Jesus, or you can't do this, or we want you to do more fiction. Oh, go on. just move along, because I can do this myself. It just seems like you said earlier, did it happen on me? Was it inside? I just think I don't know what I was doing. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think if somebody would have told me, oh, and by the way, Dawn, in 2026, you're gonna start a podcast, I would have just started digging my hole. You have no idea. People out there, I'm telling you, you can publish a book, but I'm not telling you that everybody's a podcaster. Because once you start this, oh no, between the technology that you need, now you're going to have to pay $100 for Comcast Business, because I use a studio called Riverside, and it's like playing a video game. It's live, it pulls from both sides, right? And it drains your energy, your internet, right? And so we stream everything. I'm sitting there one day, and all of a sudden my guests, their voice starts going down. I had to find out in the middle of a session that my devices were struggling. The numbers should be 500 and 300. They were like 68 and 46. I was barely getting any juice to do anything. So I had to do some fancy footwork. And once again, your presentations, if you go look on my Facebook, you'll see the work that I do. You'll see the thumbnails that I create. I create those in Canva. You have to just keep moving, never stop learning, and never question why you're doing something. Just nix the questions. Just keep walking. And one day, everything is going to fall in place. Everything is going to make sense to you. And once you get all of that stabilized, now you can tell somebody else. God told Peter, when thou art converted. Our problem is we try to run out and be teachers of things that we haven't perfected. And so that's pretty much it. I think it all kind of fell in place. And then when I realized I've reached this place of stability, I felt that I could now uphold someone else.
OHM has helped you publish over 10 books. What does your editorial process look like from raw idea to finished manuscript?
Okay, once again, I've lost my mind. Now, you're not going to believe this, people, whoever's listening. I have never had an editor.
Wow.
Since 1998. You know why? Because I was one of the baddest secretaries in Boston. I was one of the baddest things on heels back then. And so and I was very good in English. So I look at a book like a letter. And when you go to college, who's editing your papers? No one edited mine. Hundreds of pages. You had to do APA citation. Oh God. And so you don't lose that. You apply that. That's a talent to go to college and be able to edit your own papers. So guess what? This is an interesting paper. I edit. I do not have now with this book here. I will say I got a little distracted the last 3 or 4 months, and so my daughter stepped in and she'll read it. She loves reading. And she looked at it and she said, Mom, she said, look at this one again. And when I did, I shut everything out. I shut everything down and I looked at it again. And so now this is the finished product. But yeah, my editorial process, you have to read backwards. We were taught back in the day to read a letter backwards to catch errors. You have to know punctuation. That's important. It has to flow. And as I talk to you later tonight, I had a habit of run on. So I'd have to go back and say, Dawn, you did not have to just say all of that. Just get to the point. So you have to know a lot to do it properly. Yeah, and then we've got, 365 does well. They have a good spelling and grammar system that works for me. You gotta use it all.
So what business tools and resources do you find indispensable as an independent publisher in today's markets?
Well, I'm not going to leave out SEO. I'm just going to say you can do all this, and you can do it yourself if you want to, but it'll just be you, yourself, and you sitting in the room reading your own book. So as much as I still like to use my natural intelligence, I'm just old school that way. But I appreciate AI for book cover ideas. I'll just go type it in. I don't use theirs, but I'll say, okay, that's interesting. And I jump over in Canva and design my own. So I'm going to say the beautiful world of social media that I didn't want to ever do, but you cannot have a successful business without people. You can forget it. You just can't. And so I don't chase followers. I'm getting them little by little, like every day, one or two. I went offline for 12 years. So what do you think? I probably would have had as many as you, but for personal reasons, God led me to come off of Facebook, and I was off for 12 years. And when I started writing 2 years ago, I have 3 books recently: Art of Online Dating and Joyful Noise, Changing the Lyrics of Your Past. When I wrote those, he says, all right, young lady, it's time to come out incognito. It's time to get back. And I really have to say, it's been cool just keeping in touch. People from kindergarten found me, when I came back on, and they were telling me all these things about myself. I was a little advocate. I said, why? He says, oh yeah, if anything went wrong in school, I was 12. They said you would go say something and they would do something about it. So just that connection with people, going that far back in my past, being able to be in touch, tell people happy birthday, but more importantly, to see the love and support for what I'm trying to do right now with my Finding America Again tour. I would say just the most special thing right now.
You've appeared at Barnes & Noble and international conferences, including the Global Women Power Summit in Paris. How has your platform grown, and what does that growth mean to you?
My platform has expanded, where, like we said earlier, it's now involving more than me. It's involving people. The International Impact Book Awards, they were my beginnings. They were the ones that gave me that trophy right there, for not just one book, but 2. I submitted 2 because I'm a numbers person. So I thought it would increase my odds of winning, but I ended up getting both. But I would say, come on, that was last July. Wrote the 2 books, got the awards, got the trophy, and a year later, I'm a podcaster. And I'm getting ready. I might as well go ahead and tell it. I talked with them yesterday. You all will see it. I'm getting ready to start acting and filmmaking classes next month with a well-known actor. I can't say his name yet. I could, but I don't want to yet. Just for ruin the surprise. When did this happen? How did this happen? Why did this happen? Who even imagines? And I said, me acting. And then I thought about it. I said, yeah, you can do it. But really, it's more for film. I have a book that I thought it was a book, Ishmael and Isaac, Family Reunion, Turning Broken Homes into Blended Families. But it's really the script turned out to be a modernization for what I call Christian and Islamic fusion. I believe that there's going to be a coming together of those 2 groups of people. And this story is a beautiful story of 2 young boys, brothers that were separated and against their will, that missed each other dearly and loved each other still, and they found each other on a college campus. And that's just a little bit of the story.
Oh, I got to ask you something about that, because in today's time, that's really interesting, and that's an interesting storyline in itself. How would you think that Christians and Islamic people or religions would actually, how do you think they would come together? What did you think about that made you come up with that?
It's going to be love. See, let me make this very clear. I make things today. People like to say, oh, this and oh, that. How would you have felt, okay, when you grew up and someone said, that's your half brother, but he can't come to nothing. And by the way, when he was little, his mother and they were asked to go on up the road. That would make me feel sometimes. I mean, we have to just be honest about the true story. You got to know the story. It's right there in the Old Testament. I'm not mad about it. But what I'm not going to do, I'm not going to act like that they're not my half brother. I'm not going to sit up here and try to act like that they don't belong to Abraham. I'm not getting ready to do that one and get in trouble with God. God said in his word, I have sheep that are not of this fold. And one thing about me, Mr. CZ King, I ain't scared of nothing. I don't care about what people think about other people. I know that God loved me when I was a wretch, and I would have some kind of a nerve to go around here pointing my finger and judging people and not liking someone because we're not all the same. Don't you think God knew what he was doing? We got all kinds of fruit. So why everybody had to be the same? Why did humans have to all be the same? That is not what's going to happen. What I love about God, though, he lets us do our thing. He lets us say our stuff. But at the end of the day, he's the Father, right? And at the end of the day, the Bible says the earth belongs to him and everybody in it. So we got to just kind of slide to the side and let him do what he does best, and that's be God. And he's able to use me. I'm sort of like a modern day activist through my writing. But I do believe it's going to be love. Yeah.
So what is your long-term vision for OHM Publishing? Where do you see it in the next decade?
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm getting a little sad about that because I don't believe I'm going to have the time to publish for other people. I believe that I might be able to have an online school where I could teach people how to be a self-publisher, but I really think I'm going to end up in filmmaking.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
I want you to know that I'm gonna give you that congratulations in advance, because say it and it shall be.
Yeah, I got there's two movies that I have. The first one, I already have it on my phone in iMovie. And the book that I wrote, Art of Online Dating, people ask, what made you write that? I said, because I was online dating. Okay, never mind. But for 13 years, I ended up turning into a ministry. I ended up ministering to my brothers and talking to men and trying to help them to understand how to understand a woman, and things that help and things that don't help. And it was amazing. I used to wake up and write letters to them, and they'd be saying, oh my God, I'm gonna go find my kids, I'm gonna go back to my wife. It was bananas. When I tell you, Jesus pulls me into some stuff. But I do it, and I love what I do, but I really do believe that it's going to be film writing, Art of Online Dating. It's entitled Online. So my filmmaking company is it's Riverstone Films. That's my trademark, and that's going to be. It doesn't have to be modernized because that's where we are. But I did ask God, why that one? I said, I'm gonna get a lot of scrutiny for that one, right? Because people are scared. I said, let me tell you something. You ought to be scared of everybody. I don't care if you meet them in church. I don't care if you meet them at the gas station. I don't care if you meet them in the grocery store. People are going to let you know as much as they want you to know. It doesn't really matter where you meet someone. It matters if you know that God sent them into your life. And if you know how to do this thing the right way, just be safe. Why are you going out and doing all this stuff in the first day with a stranger anyhow? They tell you in small print what to do and what not to do. I don't teach for people to do it. But I know there are a lot of people, especially when it first started out, that have been happily married for 20, 25 years. So I used it for companionship. It was nice to have someone think of you and say, good morning, beautiful. How are you? How's your day? Praying for you, and go on their way. We have got to stop fostering loneliness. The Bible says it's not good to be alone. So if you just pick up someone just to say hi, let's just keep it on the phone. And if it goes from there, it goes from there, but stay prayerful. But that's going to be a movie that's going to be an interesting one for me to write.
Let's talk a little bit about your work as an author and your books. Let's first talk about your award-winning book, Joyful Noise, Changing the Lyrics of Your Past. What inspired you to write it, and why did it resonate so deeply with readers?
I got tired of hearing myself. I got tired of hearing myself complain about this happened, that happened, my mother, my father, my mother. One day I just got sick of it. I said, Don, ooh, you don't shut up. These people that you are still hurt by are dead. So what are you going to do for the rest of your life? So when you think about a lyric, you think about songs, right? Songs come from words. So we all have lyrics. Someone recently taught me, Jackie Collins, she's an author on here. She said, our voice has a vibration. So I have a vibration that my audience is going to respond to. You have a vibration you were born with that your audience is going to respond to. So, for me, I don't know. I just think that we need to just get ready for anything these days and stay ready.
Your second award-winning title, Art of Online Dating, as you was just talking about that. Where do we go from here? What made you decide to tackle the topic of modern romance and relationships?
Well, because, okay, first of all, I did ask God. I said, Lord, why me? Why me? Why this? And he said, anything that impacts my world and my people, every culture has their own. And I know they do. He said, it is worldwide. That world belongs to me. It is my responsibility. And my people who are called by my name, if they would be obedient and do what I need them to do, we could still help people worldwide. So it's a comfortable thing for me to talk about. Christians probably don't necessarily, okay, I mean, that's what you're doing. But I was called to be honest, and I was called to tell my story. And so, of course, you're looking for love. Of course, you want to be married. But after 10 years, I said, Lord, I don't think he's coming this way. He said, probably not. You're on here for another purpose. And I have helped men understand their purpose more than anything. You guys really get beat up. You do. I'm just gonna say it. Y'all do stuff, but you're different from us. We're women, right? You're a man. You're not emotional like we are, And sometimes it just takes a woman that has had experience to be able to be kind enough and still bring that cup of tea. And I bring that servitude thing, like a geisha girl. I don't know where that came from, but I've always been that way. From a young girl, 15 years old, I would cook meals for my boyfriend. He would drop that basketball, man, where you going? Okay, dinner. And so you got to acknowledge that we all have a purpose, and we have to give each other space to be those people. And I am very comfortable loving everyone. I'm comfortable talking to men. I'm comfortable talking to children because I believe that I'm holistic enough to get through to them, right? And to show enough love to impact them. And that's what this award is. It tickled me when it says it was the international impact. And that's exactly what has been happening internationally. If you can see it on my Facebook, I have people from all over the world.
So, I gotta say, I think when you write that book like the one you were tackling with the online dating, I gotta say that takes a skilled writer to write in that genre, because when you mentioned Jackie Collins, that's what she does. And I've got a couple of her books. I've read some of her books. And I know that the story, once you get into the story, you can't put the book down. Have you gotten any of those kind of remarks for feedback from your readers as to how that book was for them?
Both, yes, both books came out at the same time. So I have one of my friends, she read it and she said, I I said, I never ask what people think because I think that you make people uncomfortable. You don't have to like my book. I'm going to write what I need to write. If you don't like my book and didn't get nothing out of it, thank you. Thank you for your support, for your patronage. You're just not my audience. That's what my pastor would say. He says, if you don't like to think, then I'm not the church for you. But I remember hearing people say, I just couldn't put it down. I said, so that's a good hook. I just couldn't put it down. And there was another person. I actually had flown up to support my daughter at an event in Boston, and they bought it up there. But on their way back home, I was surprised because this was a guy. And he said, oh, no, I have my book on the airplane. But my most favorite story. Oh, no, you got to hear this one. The most favorite story, and I can't name, there was a gentleman that he actually confiscated it from his girlfriend at the time. He was so intrigued with it, he snuck and took my friend's book. And I said, okay, that's not cool. But I didn't believe that men would be interested in that book. But you know why they are? Because I'm real with men. And I give real answers. And yes, sisters, I'm telling on us when I need to, because we can act up sometimes. So when I want to just be very honest and give everybody a break, can we just calm down and just be patient with one another? And the biggest pointer in relationships of any kind, your job, your kids, you have to give things time and you have to communicate. If you don't want to communicate, and you want to rush and be married in 60 days, then when you fall off that cliff on the way down, don't be surprised. I am telling you right now, it doesn't work. And if you have a self-sabotaging spirit, it's going to win every single time. There, I said it.
Okay. Look, I mean, I think that's about, that's helping in a lot of ways, because I think giving it to you straight, no chaser, is the only way to give it. And I just think that's a very great philosophy. But I want to ask you about your new book that was released here in 26, Finding America Again. It's closer. Yeah. It's closer than we think. Yes. Tell us about what America needs to find. What America needs to find its way back to, and what inspired this timely work.
Okay, so everything with me is an underlining love. What we have to get back to is our soul. We have to get back to focusing on souls. Our soul, your soul, the neighbor's soul. COVID came and we got rid of souls. Get away from souls, don't talk to souls, don't breathe the souls, don't look at souls. And we were trapped in the house and we have lost our souls. We've lost our social skills. When I was driving for Uber one day, this poor guy, he said, it's like we're not people anymore. I said, you're right. And that bothered me. He says, it's like we're not people anymore. We'll just sit. I never seen it. They'll be at a restaurant. Everybody's looking down on a date, everybody's on their phone. We've lost connectivity, right? And one of my favorite, all of these chapters are mine, but the first one that gets me every time is called The Way We Were. Man, I go back to fire hydrants, splashes, and being chased by the fire department, turning them off, and block parties, and how the news of the day wasn't a domestic violence. It wasn't a child being molested. I was here for a better day. And I want this generation, the last generation, the next generation to know what it is to go to a park and not have to worry about being shot. Now, that's a lot. That's a bold statement to make. But we can find safe ways for our families to enjoy themselves. But we have lost each other. We don't even talk. Joggers. Oh, okay. Just, and don't get me wrong. I love dogs like you couldn't even imagine, but my God from glory, we would rather have a dog than a human any day. And I was almost there till I said, let me get it together. But we have to remember that human beings, we are God's most precious creature. He gave us dominion over animals, and I'm telling you, I love them, but I can't put an animal in the place of a dog. If I've got that much of a personality disorder, I need to go get some help.
Ooh. Okay, look, we're gonna say that for another show because you know, I'm being honest. I've asked this of many people because I try to understand that. How do you love the animal before you love the human?
So I'm going to explain this to you. This is why I said you have to balance it. Animals are innocent. They're more innocent than children because children are humans. They're going to grow up, their development, they're going to develop. An animal, I'm telling you, I had one. They bring an unconditional love that we all can benefit from. But shame on us that we can't get that as humans. Shame, shame, shame. So people said, I'm not going to be alone and I'm not going to be stressed out with you. So I'm going to go down to the kennel and I'm going to get me some kind of doodle and I'm going to dress it up and treat it like a baby and kiss it all over and take it on trips because I can't get along with a human. I can't get a human to stay. I can't get a human to call me and to care anymore. But we're going to do something about that. But we've got to stop worrying about communities. Let people do their thing. If this is what you're doing, you do. If I want to come to it, I'll welcome myself. I don't have to be invited anywhere, if you could tell. I'm going to show up and I'm going to have me a fabulous time. I'm going to eat the food and I'm going to love everyone and then I'm going to go home. That's what I mean by you have to balance it. You have to put the work in and you have to just tell yourself that God created us to love one another. And I'm not sure that we're doing it quite right. Not everybody, but the numbers are escalating. You can see it in the divorce rate. You see it in the domestic violence. Like every day I'm reading some story about someone's husband killed them. Like, you married me and then you killed me. Okay, I'm someone help me understand that. So there's a lot of work to do, but I think it starts with just a little act of kindness. Take the old lady down the street a plate of food, give her a ride. You see her struggling on her, I don't know, CZ, I don't
know. So you describe your writing as combining personal experience with extensive research. Tell us, how do you strike that balance between the personal and the academic in your work?
So the academic came first. That's what struck me when it came to people. There was a woman, she's a case manager. She became famous. Her name is Deosha Hay, but to the queen. She became so famous with relationship building that she couldn't do her job anymore. She had to come around to the mental health centers and talk to us. We have to understand that there's a lot of different cultures in this world. And what she shared with us is that the school systems didn't understand parts of the Asian culture. There's something that they have called cupping. And when their kids are sick and it has somebody with a flame and a cup, and I'm not getting into that, but it leaves a little bit of a brown spot. Well, the school system saw this and thought it was abuse. Okay, number one problem, that's what you get for thinking. Number two, if you know anything about the Asian culture, they're not bold like us. Like they don't sit and stare you in your eye when they're talking. Their culture is that they're subdued. They look down a little bit when you're talking to them. But if you don't take the time to study cross multicultures, you will miss something every single time, with people. So it took that for me to get a better interest in people and what they needed from me. So when I got saved, I studied the Bible. I used to shut in the church 3 days, fast 3 days, put my baby with daycare, and I was serious about this. But I had a Sunday school book, and it was on Solomon, King Solomon, and I didn't read it yet. And I was on welfare at the time, which I swear I would never do. I said, no, I have enough skills, but God will deal with that. But I remember laying in the bed and saying, Lord, wherever I'm going, show me how to walk in and out before your people. It was then that I said, it's one thing to learn about others, but you got to know yourself. And I began to work on me, and it's taken decades. Absolutely. As some people didn't know me from back in the day, I didn't hold it and fold it. I had no idea what that concept was. I wasn't born with inhibition. I was not. I had to pray for it. And the first day that I actually used it, it shocked me. I called someone and said, I've got inhibition. I finally have glory, hallelujah. I finally have inhibition. I know how to just say, I know that's right. And you gotta be honest with yourself, because it gives people freedom. When people don't understand, just know we all have a crazy. We ain't even gonna leave me in that chair. There's something wrong with all of us. But you have to, like my pastor said, you gotta know you're crazy. And you have to be patient with other people's crazy. And you have to figure out how to fit, but don't stay there.
Yes.
Don't make an excuse. Well, this is the way about them. Your mama ain't here right now to rescue you, because if you do that one more time, so we have to self-assess. The Bible says, examine yourself. Stop worrying about everybody else all the time. Get you right. Peter, again, when thou art converted, then you can go and strengthen the brethren. But if you try to do that and you're not ready, it's going to be like the sons of Sceva. They're going to rip you apart. You have to be patient with you. You can't worry about what people think about you, what they say about you. Some people, unfortunately, met you in the middle of your progress. And when I used to hear responses, I would say, that's okay. That's what they think. Keep watching. That's what I said 20 years ago. I said, keep watching, because I'm not going to give up on me. And God's not going to give up on me. And everything is going to be all right. But you got to put the work in.
You've written over 10 books, 8 of which have been retired. What does it mean to retire a book, and why is that an important decision for an author?
No one wants to hear it anymore. You look around. At that time, I was in a certain area. And when I went in the building, I would see something. I would just read the room and I go, oh, okay. They either never understood, or they don't understand the concept of God's love. We say, I love you. Yeah. God said, yeah, whatever. You say you love me, but you can't love your brother and sister that you can see. You ain't seen me yet. I'm invisible to you. Who are you trying to fool, right? Who are you trying to fool? You can't fool him, and you definitely can't fool me. So I just wanted to help. I'm just being honest with you. I would go home and write. I wrote books called Forgive, Next, and I just wanted to help. I had the time to study, extensive study and research and fasting and praying. I had the time to do it. And I told myself, well, since I have the time to do it, I'm going to use this season in my life to get some real documentation, make it quick. My books were like 57 pages. People would buy them from church in the morning and be done by night service. That made me feel good, because number one, they were intrigued. It kept them interested. They got the message, and it didn't take them all day. So I'm never doing a novel. Y'all can forget that. Never say never. Dawn Adams is never doing a novel. There's no reason for that. Who has to sit and read something about my life all summer long? So I would have to say I've always been inspired by people, because I want everybody to know that God loves them and that they're helped. I don't care who you are and what your situation is. There is help. There is help for you. And it's up to people like me, writers, speakers, to tell people that perpetually until they believe it. And that's what I think my books did. They were very simple, very to the point, and And they're not as simple today, but they're still to the point.
You provide biblically based resolutions to inner conflicts throughout your books. How does faith inform your work, and how do you reach readers across different faith backgrounds?
Okay, so back to the everybody belongs to God. We're not all going to be the same. The foundation is love. But I know people sometimes you'll hear in church say hallelujah because that's the highest praise. Hallelujah is not the highest praise. When you say, God, I believe you, is the highest praise, because without faith, it's impossible to please him. So we have to get this word right. We can't just, the Bible is not a Daniel Steele novel, right? It's a living word. And from Emmanuel's veins, it will always be a living word. The blood is always going to be applied to it. And if you don't believe it, you don't have to, but you can't stop me, because without faith, it's impossible. Are y'all listening to me? Is anybody awake? Did anybody chime in? Without faith, y'all, it is impossible to please God. And if you want your life to be blessed, you don't have to be perfect, but just, could you please him on Tuesday at least? Friday, think about him and do something that's pleasing in his sight. Tell him hi. Tell him I love you. Call him daddy. Let him know. Remind him he's your creator and that you need him. That's it. I sing him songs. I can't sing. Ooh, y'all could never want to hear me do it. But in my secret closet, I sing to my Father. I sing to my daddy. And because the Bible said I can. He says, sing unto the Lord a new song, for he has done marvelous things. Make a joyful noise unto the Lord, all the earth. All the earth sing praises. That's the last scripture in that book. So when I know God doesn't like murmuring, he doesn't like complaining, he doesn't like hate, he doesn't like variance in families, I said, then that's not pleasing to him. For me to still be talking about something that happened when I was 15 and 18 and 21 and my mother couldn't do this and she didn't do that. Oh, shut up, Dawn. People are tired. I told people, I said, you know that you've told that story so many times. When people see your name on this phone, they go, oh. Not today. I don't want to hear the story again today. And so I said, let me free my people who love me, and let me change my lyrics. And when I wrote this book, CZ, I cried all the way through it, because all I talked about was the good memories and Christmas and the things me and my mother did. And there was no more pain on the inside. And I cried at the end. I said, I didn't write this book to sell it. I wrote it to be healed and to be free so that people can tolerate me.
You know something? I got to tell you, that in itself is something that I think a lot of us should resonate with, that part of what you just spoke, because, it's I guess maybe, do you think that means that maybe they're not touched with some people aren't touched with their inner selves, as to why they're missing so much, and that's why that void is there? What do you think they can do or should do in order to get right, get to that?
That's easy. Y'all listening? Tonight before you go to bed, you say God, and you don't have to look up in the ceiling. He's not in the ceiling. You just, in your heart, you say, Lord, I can't do this. I can't do this without you. Help my faith to increase. When that happens, you can't read the word of God without faith. Please don't. It's no sense. Absolutely none. You're wasting time. Ask him first to increase your faith, right? Something on the inside of you will make you hungry to feed that faith, that word, right? You get in there and you will find, like a smorgasbord, all sorts of things. Unforgiveness. He told us to forgive one another 490 times a day. I promise you, you're not going to be around me to aggravate me 490 times in one day. But in the event we're lost on an island, and you do, I'm going to be crossing off. That's 360. Okay, what you going to do next? He means what he says, and he's extreme because he knows that unforgiveness, it creates a root of bitterness on the inside of us. It, like a plant, the roots, you can't see it. You can't see unforgiveness, not until you're plucked, not until you're triggered, and then you're like, oh, they're still mad about that. Please let that go. It's not healthy, and this is where a lot of our health problems are coming from. Just that internal, just let it go, man. Like, what is the problem? Go on with your life. Go do something else. The Bible also says, as much as life within you, live peaceably with all men. I say your out clause is this: as much as life within you. If you don't get along with someone, you don't have to be with that person. You love them from afar. You feed them anyhow, and you go on your way. I'm making it sound simple because this is crucial to me. It is time for us to act like adults because guess what? Our children are watching. Like I told you, mine from the womb, looking at me all day long. Our children are watching. And so we can't seem to nip this thing in the bud because we won't change as adults.
You received remarkable testimonies from readers, including a professional mover who was so moved by Joyful Noise that he said, it just touched my heart. What does reader impact like that mean to you?
Well, it almost got him in trouble. I said, where were you sneaking on my... I was outside. He was supposed to be putting my stuff together. I said, how do you know I have books? You were on my shelf. And it was so funny. But I said, well, that's one for the books right there. The moving guy was on my shelf looking at my books. But he bought two for two of them. And I was paying him for an extra service. And he said, nah. He said, let's just wash it. Let's barter. I'll take your books. You don't pay me anything. And he actually called back and he said to me that Joyful Noise just really touched his heart. That's impact. It doesn't, he didn't have to relate. People don't have to relate to us for us to impact them. Maya Angelou said one thing. No, she said a lot of things. But one thing that she said is people may not remember what you said. People may not remember what you did, but they will remember how you made them feel. That's impact. Oh, she made me feel comfortable. She makes me feel uncomfortable. Whatever the impact is, and if it's negative, you got to work on that. You know what I mean? But you just really have to increase your faith. I hope you all really heard me when I said that. There's no sense reading the Bible if you're not going to receive it by faith. You need faith. Without it, it's impossible to please God.
So where do future book genres like romance, fiction, and children's books fit into your creative roadmap?
I'm so glad you asked, TZ. So I'm silly. I'm not probably ever going to do a child's book, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a comic book. I'm going to be I already got my AI pictures in my categories. I'm in my gallery. I'm going to have a line of online comics books because I came up with Archie and Jughead and Veronica and Betty. So you're going to always get a lot of who I was as a child. But this superhero, you got to see one of them. I can see her now. She's got all this armor on and she's absolutely gorgeous. This hair's flying, but she's got a vacuum cleaner. So she's being a superwoman, but she's cleaning her house. You know, there's toys all around. So those comic books are going to be my way of breaking through the traditional way that case managers have tried to heal families. What we do is we take the child and take them here. We take the woman and put her there. And the man, and the church does this too. I say we all sit in the same room and learn together. So I figured a comic book would be something that they would all read from front to end, right? And hopefully get some impact and get some answers. So yeah, I'm heading towards comic books.
So what advice would you give the first-time author who has a story burning inside them but is afraid to put it on paper?
Okay. You can't do anything afraid. So the first thing you need to do is ask yourself, why are you afraid? Are you, more importantly, who are you afraid of? Do you know that most of our stories, they include other people? And there are some people that have family members that you better not tell that story. Do you remember that? What happens in this house? What happens in this house? So you got that whole generation, they're not writing that story if it was to save their life. I said, but if the person's no longer here, I said, this is what I'm trying to tell you. Let me teach you. Join my school, get my coaching. You don't have to name. You can tell a story. And if you don't want to tell a nonfiction, make it fiction. Like me, I'm a survivor of infantile abuse and spousal abuse. So I was getting it as an infant. But once I grew up and worked through all of that, I said, I think I might do one book entitled Me, Myself, and Ice Cream. Now, Me, Myself, and Irene was a book and a movie, but I want to do Me, Myself, and Ice Cream because there was such a strong authoritative rule in my house. It was her way or the highway. You couldn't have the kind of ice cream you wanted. You were going to eat Pogo Puffs, this, and it was going to be one of everything we were all going to eat. But with children, because the personalities are all different, sometimes you got to lighten up. Let them come over and pick out the ice cream they want sometime. It's not going to kill them. It's not going to kill them. So me, when I got grown and was able to go to the store, honey, and buy my own ice cream that I wanted and keep my butter on the table and my ketchup in the cabinet, that's when I knew that change brings about change. But just don't get caught up in your pain. Don't get used to abuse.
Let's talk about Cafe Talk podcast. Tell us about the origin story of your podcast, Cafe Talk. What made you decide to launch a podcast, and what does the name represent?
Okay, so once again, it wasn't my choice. God asked me to do it, give him a platform to use me. So my podcast, I learned from the different books and the different genres and categories. Podcasts are the same. Everybody, please don't try to copy somebody else's podcast. Your podcast is supposed to represent who you are, right? And so I like good, real, transparent stories that impact. And if you went back and watched every last one of my episodes, they were great, real, true stories that impact people. I get good responses to them. Cafe Talk. Okay, so cafe, let's think about it. A cafe is a quiet place. It's a calming place. It's got nice warm colors, like those colors behind you. That makes me feel like a cafe. But if you notice that most people go to a cafe alone, or maybe to meet one person, but they want that quiet place. They want the smell of that Ethiopian coffee. They want that muffin and not have to share it. They cross their leg. They sit in a comfortable chair in the corner, and they're probably introverts. They don't want to really bother with people, but they don't mind being in a room filled with people. They like to hear that chatter and that sound in the background. So when I called it Cafe Talk, it's because I always have a little jazz playing in the background. And see how you got your cup? I don't want people starchy. Bring your cuppy, bring your tea, bring your muffin. You can take a bite while we're talking. Come on, let's keep it real. Let's have some fun with this. But it's also real talk, right? And I'm unique. I am growing towards live, but I don't know which segments. I don't think they're going to all be live. I think I'm going to pick maybe one Sunday out of the month where I go live. I just want to see it work for me because I'm so used to pre-recordings. And like I say, I used to go back and listen to them and say, oh no. So the podcast for me is not for me. It's for the audience. So the people that come on my podcast, their story has to line up. right? It has to be, there's usually stories that overcome, right? I'm not a grief counselor, so I'm not good. No, I'm not good with someone that's still hurt. It's terrible. But people know me. I just said, I mean, can you get over it? Like, what's going on? But that's because I changed. That once was me. But once you come out of something, you can't really go back. So I know when books and stories align and the information, like I've got mental health counselors that have come on. There's a woman that she wrote a book that talks about working too hard, and she almost lost her life. She almost died. She almost died working so hard, working for money, trying to be so perfect. And these are real things that are going on. There are 45-year-old beautiful Black queens since I've been here, news reporters. Oh, she died of a heart attack. Died of a heart attack. We're dying too young because we're living lifestyles that are out of our reach, and we're killing ourselves over lifestyle and money. And I don't know, keeping up with the Joneses. I haven't met them yet, right? But we really have to start taking, I would say, better care of ourselves and focus on the things that are most important. And I mean, it's just, I could go on, but that's what Cafe Talk is. It's, I hear a story, I read a book. Most recently, I met a gentleman. He's a master in AI. I don't do it, but he does it. He's a master at it, and he does all fiction. And I love his stories. I just fell in love with his stories. And I wanted to bring him on because why? It's relevant. I don't care if I like it or not. I want people to understand certain things about AI. AI doesn't have a soul. AI is going to take your information and add something and sell it to somebody else. I need you to understand. Do you know where your information, that document goes when you hit the button? Do you really know where it goes? That's why I don't do it for my content, because I don't need anybody distorting my story. You can't tell my story, you know? But I brought him on because he just brings such a different twist to it. And he does such a beautiful artwork with it. Yeah.
So, what topics and conversations does Cafe Talk center around, and who is your ideal listener?
My ideal listener, I'll start with them. There's someone that has gone through all the steps of, okay, hurting, healing, and knowing that there's more to them that meets the eye. They need that nudge. They just need some practical, illustration, practical information. How do I get out of this? How do I get out of that? How do I take care of myself better? Yeah, so that's my ideal listener. And I got to tell you, CZ, I don't know how it has happened, but almost all of my guests have been in alignment. They have brought on a powerful story. Just amazing.
Well, that centers around, what your structure is and what you want it to be. And when you find those guests that align like that, that means that the trend continues. And so as it's continuing, that means that the people that are gravitating are the people that all of your content is for.
I appreciate you saying that, because you and I talked briefly on this earlier, and I had to explain myself a little bit. I don't mind doing that. When I see someone, or someone may ask, what does it take to get on your show? The first thing I do is I go find them on Amazon and I read those free chapters, right? So I can understand. Then from there, I ask them, when are they available? Because I don't want you on your lunch break. Anything can happen with this technology. It's a cafe. I want you to relax, nobody around. Then I type up, it's a whole email, they have their date, their time, what to expect. Like you said, log in 15 minutes before so we can test everything. But I also do something, I will pull from what I read from their live Facebook and their books online. And that's how I derive all of my questions. And so I go deep. See, you would hate to be on my show. You were going to think I go deep. And one of them, she was She was she was an overseas West African mental health counselor. And she said, I am so glad you sent me these questions in advance because I had to think. That's what I'm talking about. I do 3 questions, maybe 4, depends upon the subject. And they're always with, like you said, the listener in mind. God, I'm a chef too. So a cook always should care about the people more than what they cooked. They say the worst cook in the world is someone that just put food on your plate and didn't ask you, how do you like your steak cooked? Do you want scrambled? Do you want poached? No, you can eat that mess. I don't eat nothing like that. So you have to have courtesy, and customer service with me is number 1. So for me, I feel like I'm the chef and they bring the produce and the protein, and then I know what my audience needs to eat. And so I guide it and I put structure, but I always let people still be their authentic themselves. At the end, I always say, now you go for it. Now that the kids have eaten, now that daddy has had the big chicken breast, okay, you can go on ahead, tell your story, do your thing, say what you need to say about you. And then now I feel like we've done a good job. It still aligns with the word of God. God told Peter, feed my sheep. I'm just doing it in books. And so
now, podcasting can be vulnerable and an exposed space. How do you maintain authenticity on the mic without oversharing?
I edit.
Okay.
Riverside is amazing. They have you on the screen and they have a live script. And if you go back and see you're talking more than your guest, you're wrong. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. The host is the host and the guest is the guest. And that's that customer service. But I talked to you about that tonight because sometimes it was nerves. Just nerves. And then somebody called me a Renaissance woman. I said, I need somebody to call me something because I got so much inside of me that I have to make myself focus. Even like right now, I'm making myself focus by looking at you. I used to be looking all over, talk with my hands, looking all over. No. I would go back and I would see that. And so it's a work in progress. But it's in progress. I'm in season 2, and I looked at my last one, and I absolutely loved it, CZ. I'm getting there, and that's why I believe once I gain, it's always about that self-assessment. Once I gain that self-control, and people don't understand. This is like being a celebrity, the hair and the makeup, and oh Jesus! And so you have to be organized. You don't have to film every day. You get yourself put together and schedule 3 people that day and then put your hair up in a ponytail and go look a mess. But it's a lot of pieces to it. It really is. You can do it, but you really got to be, you got to be determined because you don't want to start a good thing and then finish and then not finish it.
Well, the final question for you, I'll make sure I'm very careful of your time. I'm sorry we've gone a little bit over. Final question for you. You've shared that distractions almost derailed your destiny without giving too much away for listeners who haven't tuned in. What was the nature of those distractions and how did you overcome them?
Okay, I hope y'all are ready for this. My distraction, in the short story of it, I know my father loved me. That's a sitcom jingle. Okay. I know my father loved me, but he couldn't. He wasn't allowed to. He wasn't allowed to be with me and love me directly. I felt that in my life, his absence. So I looked for love in all the wrong places. I misunderstood me wanting a dad and just wanting that male voice to tell you something to do or not to do. I mixed that up too much with relationship. So I spent a lot of time looking for love in the wrong places. And I guess that's why God said, enough, enough. this girl is about to get some love. And I remember one thing that he said to me, and I know that's what my problem was. He said to me, if you would chase after me like you chased after men, I'll blow your mind.
Mm. Oh, wow.
Mm, mm. Yes, he did. And today my mind is indeed blown. And it doesn't mean I don't love and don't want to love again, and I don't want, but what it means is that that's some big shoes to fill.
Yes, it is.
It's
Yes, it is.
that's going to be some big shoes to fill. But God said to me, He doesn't desire that I be alone. I said, well, you're going to have to drop him out of parachute and hit me on the head walking down Powers Ferry Road, because I have a peace that this world didn't give to me. And I used to hear older women say, girl, I wish I would get married again. And I said, well, I'm glad that I reached that contentment, but I still don't believe that it's good for us to be alone. Right. And so I'm going to take advantage of these next couple of years and focus on my books, hopefully get this, book turned into a film, get myself situated. And then I'm looking to be swept off my feet and taken to Greece and Sydney, Australia, and Japan, and just have a good time traveling the rest of my days with someone that I love.
So, with us coming to the end here, what are some words of wisdom and encouragement you'd like to leave for our audience? Tell them how to connect with you via your social media, your website, how to get your books, all of those good things.
Okay, so I'm on Facebook under Dawn Adams. I do have a couple different ones because I didn't know what I was doing in the beginning, so I got too many accounts out there. But you'll know the one that has the most amount of followers. It's not a whole lot right now, and it's going to be the one that looks like me now. You'll see my face. My books are www.booksbydawn. I try to keep it simple. My name is Dawn, like the dishwasher liquid. Booksbydawn.com. You can, on my Facebook page, you'll just be able, that's the quickest way to just DM me and let me know. I am currently taking clients for life and business coaching, but I feel like I'm leaning more towards business because I want people to have generational wealth. And so what we're doing at our age is not for us to live, it's for our grandchildren not to have to suffer. Right? So
Yep.
You can find me. I even have my phone number on my Facebook page. You can call me. I have open door policy. I just like to make myself available and to help anyone that's looking for some real help.
Words of wisdom and encouragement for our audience.
Get to know you before you want someone else to get to know you. If you don't like you in a room, why should someone else?
So I want to tell you thank you so very much for being here. This was a really good show, and I really love the information that you have given out to our audience, but also those stories that you were telling in between were really in-depth stories that people should take a lot from. Yes. And I definitely appreciate that, because as we work on community building, these are just things that I want people to make sure that they're understanding, they're learning. And if they've got any questions whatsoever, I would actually say to them, please reach out to Dawn. And she says she has an open door policy. Send her a message there on Facebook. Try to get that chat in and try to learn and do those things that she's mentioning. If you're an author and she is telling you that she can teach you how to be a self-published author, I think you should go for that.
Yeah.
But I definitely hope that you guys learn from that. And as we are going forward to this day, these are messages that this is just not for today. This is for you guys to take going forward, because this is going to be with you forever. If you're one of the younger generational young men and women, you've got a long ways to go. I mean, I'm already past the mid stage. So for us to shoot this wisdom to you is for you to get, for you to keep, and for you to use. That's the whole premise.
But you know something, CZ, the joke's gonna be on you if you live to be 110, because I'm seeing an awful lot of it. So I'm living like I'm living like how they used to turn the meter in the car back. I feel like God has turned, I feel like I'm going backwards, spiritually and mentally and even physically. But just one more thing that I wanted to say to people. There's a lot of lonely people out there. Just know that God fills all space and time. You may not see him, but he's an omnipresent God, which means he's everywhere. He's right here. He's right there with you. But if you haven't had a human being tell you that they love you and mean it, I want you to believe this. I love you. I want you to feel loved. And I don't want you to ever think you're not worth love. I love you. If nobody else told you that, Dawn told you that. And you can take that to the bank.
So, in closing, for all of you guys that are watching on all 8 of our channels, in particular our YouTube channels, if any of you guys have not yet subscribed and enabled all notifications, I ask if you would please subscribe, enable all notifications, where each and every time we have a live show, you will be notified and you just click and watch. You will also be able to go back to any of our channels to watch all of our recordings and learn the valuable information that each and every guest has put out for you to get those different nuggets to use to not just make yourself better, but those around you, and for you to help to continuously to build your community. I want to thank you all for being with us tonight. You guys have a great evening. We will be back tomorrow for another great show of America in Black and White, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am your host, Charles King. You guys have a great evening, and we will see you tomorrow night.